All right, guys, let's talk about some bad news that's coming out of Richmond today from the Virginia Senate. So today, the Virginia Senate passed two bills that are going to affect us in July. So now keep in mind, the House passes bills and the Senate passes bills, and then around Valentine's Day, they cross them over. And then they reconcile the bills, and the House will then pass a bill, and then what the Senate approved, and the Senate will approve what the House approved, and then it all get reconciled, and eventually goes up to the governor. So these are not the laws yet, but these are very likely going to now become the laws now that the Senate has passed them. All right. So the first bill is going to be the one gun a month rule. This is how it was in Virginia for a period of time. And has been rescinded over the years. So basically, it's going to be you can only purchase one firearm per month without the unless you have a concealed carry permit. So that's going to be the general rule is one gun unless you have a concealed handgun permit. Now, and this is one handgun, not rifles and things like that. So if you have a concealed handgun permit, you'll be exempt from this rule. So if you want to be exempt from Senate Bill 69, all you have to do is simply have a concealed handgun permit. However, the bigger one that is going to be a real problem, which is kind of skating under the iceberg here, is Senate Bill 35. Now, Senate Bill 35 is going to allow localities to have the authority to make ordinances to prohibit carrying firearms in their buildings. And this is a real problem because not only are we going to have all the new gun laws from Virginia and everybody's going to have to be aware of them statewide, but now we're going to have to be worried about what the locality rules are about whether or not we can bring firearms into these restricted places. And there's basically three places where the localities are going to be able to make these rules. In any governmental building, okay, so that could be like City Hall or, the real estate assessor or something like that. Any public park or any public street that is adjacent to a permitted event. So a permitted event could be like, a wine fest or, any kind of a rally or anything like that. They would be able to, from a local level, be able to restrict firearms. Now, this is clearly a response to what happened in Charlottesville, and they are responding to the 2017 incidences out there. That's what this is coming from, and the senator himself, the senators who've been pushing this have been talking about Charlottesville, so it's no surprise here. So there does have to be some signage, but it's going to be a real problem because, if you happen to be like a builder and you carry a concealed firearm and you're allowed to carry a concealed firearm into Chesapeake, and then you get a permit and you go up to Virginia Beach and now you're not, and you miss the sign, you might be committing an infraction to the city, which could result in all kinds of penalties, criminal even. So this is a terrible idea to let a locality, and not only do we have all the gun laws of the state that we have to keep aware of, but we're going to have localities are going to have the permission to move forward. Now, we did talk about the third one, and I forgot to put this up here, but I meant to. The third one is the universal background check. So two Republicans did vote with the Democrats, so it came out to a 23-17 vote. Now, this is what Senator Lucas proposed from Portsmouth, and it has been amended to where the felony provisions of this are taken out, so it's going to be misdemeanors. And so basically, if you're going to sell a firearm to somebody, then they're going to have to, the purchaser is going to have to get a background check, and you're going to have to likely go through a gun shop or something like that to do that transaction. Now, there are some exemptions to this. Gifts between family members, immediate family members. So if I buy a firearm for my wife, I'll still be able to give it to her without her having to do a background check. If you're a granddad and you're giving your grandson a firearm, that would be considered an immediate family member. But if you're giving a gun to your cousin, that would not be an immediate family member. So he'd have to get a background check. If somebody dies and they have some guns and they're giving it to an heir, that heir would not have to go through a background check. And there are, a couple of other general exceptions in the code. You can read Senate Bill 70 to see that. So a lot of you have been concerned, well, what if I want to give my gun to my kid? That would be allowed. They would not have to have a background check. This is mostly targeting strangers doing transactions, or people, I should say, that are not immediate family members doing transactions. So they are going to be the ones that are going to have to go through a background check. And again, 2 Republicans did go on board for that. Now, these are going to go to the House, and all of this is going to get wrapped up, most likely with 100% certainty, as I can give you. These 3 bills are going to become law. I can't imagine that anybody in the House is going to sidestep these 3. So expect universal background checks as proposed in Senate Bill 70. With the modification that there'll be misdemeanor penalties rather than felony penalties. 1 handgun per month rule, which you can bypass by having a concealed handgun permit, and then allowing localities to have gun, promote their own local ordinances on government buildings and parks. So that's what happened in Richmond today. That may be all I'm going to have to talk about unless the Supreme Court comes back on this other issue with the governor's ban. Have a great day, Facebook.